Have you ever met someone who just gets under your skin? Maybe it's how they chew loudly, interrupt conversations, or always seem to brag. Now pause. What if I told you that the very thing that irritates you about others is a mirror, reflecting something buried within yourself? Carl Jung once said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." It sounds simple, but it's one of the most powerful tools for personal growth. In this video, we'll explore how the things that frustrate us most in others can uncover hidden wounds, unresolved insecurities, and parts of ourselves we have yet to embrace. If you've ever wanted to grow emotionally, become more self-aware, and build stronger relationships, then learning how to decode your irritations is a must. The goal is not to avoid irritation, but to understand it. Because once you understand what triggers you, you can transform how you react, how you live, and most importantly, how you grow. Let's be honest, irritation feels personal. It's sharp, uncomfortable, and often makes us react without thinking. But here's the truth. Irritation is rarely about the other person. It's about us, about what we value, what we fear, or what we deny within ourselves. That loud talker, maybe you were taught to stay quiet. That know-it-all, maybe you're afraid of looking ignorant. When we stop blaming and start reflecting, we gain insight into our wounds, our triggers, and our growth edges. That's where the power lies. In this script, we'll walk through how to turn everyday irritation into one of life's greatest teachers. Get ready to shift how you see the world and yourself. You see, our minds are wired to protect us. When something triggers discomfort, the brain wants to escape it, deflect it, or project it. It's a survival mechanism. But growth begins when we lean into that discomfort instead of running from it. Let me give you an example. Maya always found herself irritated by a friend's need for constant attention. She rolled her eyes anytime a friend posted selfies or fishbowl compliment captions. But after reflection, Maya realized something painful. She envied that confidence. She had spent most of her life hiding herself, afraid of being seen. Her irritation wasn't about her friend. It was about her own fear of visibility. This is how it works. What we reject in others is often what we reject in ourselves. When Maya embraced this truth, she began healing. She worked on her self-worth. She allowed herself to be seen. That irritation led her to transformation. So ask yourself, what's that one thing that constantly annoys you in others? What does it say about you? The answer might surprise you, and it might even set you free. Sometimes, the traits we can't stand in others are ones we're afraid we might have. Have you ever called someone too dramatic, only to realize you were suppressing your own emotions? Or accused someone of being too needy, when deep down you crave attention but feel guilty for asking? These moments of discomfort often point to our shadow, the hidden parts of us that we buried to survive or to be accepted. Carl Jung called this a shadow self, not because it's evil, but because it lives in the dark corners of our identity. When someone reflects that part back to us, we flinch. But what if, instead of flinching, we listened? What if irritation was not a punishment, but a path, a signpost showing you where you're still hurting or hiding? Healing begins the moment we stop denying parts of ourselves. You are not weak for feeling irritated, but you become powerful when you choose to examine it. Every time you say, "I can't stand that person," dig deeper. You may just uncover the most important thing you didn't know about yourself. Let's flip the perspective. What if I told you that the person who irritates you might actually be your greatest teacher? That rude coworker, teaching you patience. That self-absorbed neighbor, showing you where you need boundaries. That gossiping relative, revealing how much you value honesty. Irritation doesn't have to be the enemy. It can be the messenger. The more emotionally mature you become, the more you realize people aren't there to please you. They're there to grow you. You can spend your whole life trying to avoid people who annoy you, or you can let them refine you. Think of your irritation as spiritual sandpaper. Yes, it's rough, but it's smoothing something out in you, maybe pride, maybe judgment, maybe insecurity. And that process is sacred. So don't just cancel people who frustrate you. Observe them. Learn from them. Ask what they awaken in you. Because when you embrace irritation as a tool, you'll begin to respond, not react. You'll grow in emotional intelligence. And over time, the things that once triggered you will become things you understand and master. Let's talk about ego. The ego hates discomfort. It wants to be right, respected, and in control. So when someone challenges your beliefs, disrupts your flow, or behaves in a way you disapprove of, the ego flares up. That's when irritation strikes. But here's the twist. Irritation isn't the problem. The ego's refusal to examine it is. When we view every annoyance as an attack, we miss the gift of reflection. You're not meant to go through life constantly triggered. But to become untriggered, you must understand your triggers. What is this showing me? This switch is hard at first. It requires humility. But humility opens doors that pride never will. Instead of why are they like this, try why does this bother me so much? That shift is where healing starts. When you respond from self-awareness instead of ego, your reactions soften, your understanding deepens, and suddenly, people lose the power to disturb your peace. Because you reclaim that power. It was always yours. You just needed to silence the ego long enough to hear what your soul was trying to say. Think about your relationships, family, friends, co-workers. Every connection is an emotional classroom. Some people teach you joy, others, pain. But both are teachers. That friend who canceled plans last minute might be teaching you to value your time. The sibling who never says thank you might be teaching you the importance of recognition. The colleague who always takes credit might be pointing you to places you've been silent too long. Every person reveals something about you, your needs, your values, your fears. The trick is to pause long enough to reflect instead of react. Try this exercise. The next time someone irritates you, write it down. Then write what it made you feel. Not about them, about you. Was it rejection? Fear? Injustice? Then ask, where else in my life do I feel this way? You will begin to see patterns. And with those patterns come insights. This is emotional mastery. You move from being a victim of people's behavior to a student of your own emotions. You become grounded, present, and powerful. Because now, your relationships don't just test you, they teach you. And the more you learn, the more peaceful you become. We all have blind spots, parts of ourselves we don't see or won't admit. That's where others come in. The people who irritate us often shine a spotlight on those exact areas. Let's say you're bothered by people who seek attention. Ask yourself, do you secretly want attention but feel guilty desiring it? Or do you judge your own need for affirmation as weakness? Sometimes, what we criticize is what we've been taught to suppress. Other times, what irritates us is what we fear becoming. This self-exploration can feel uncomfortable, even shameful at times. But here's the beauty of it. You're not alone. Every human has a shadow. The goal isn't to get rid of it. It's to integrate it. To accept that you are complex, layered, and still worthy. When you acknowledge your shadow with compassion, you stop projecting it onto others. That's when relationships improve. That's when peace grows. Because now, you're not fighting the world. You're healing yourself. So the next time someone triggers you, pause, breathe, ask, what's the shadow here? Then love that part of you. That's how we stop hiding and start healing. Let's take it deeper. What if irritation is also a sign of unhealed pain? Have you ever snapped at someone for something small, only to realize you were already emotionally drained? That's because triggers are often connected to past wounds. That annoying coworker might remind you of a critical parent. That bossy friend might awaken memories of being controlled. Our bodies remember even when our minds forget. So when something irritates you, don't just look at the surface. Look beneath it. Ask, where have I felt this before? You might be surprised by what rises to the surface. This kind of reflection is a form of emotional archaeology. You dig through layers of reaction to find the original wound. And once you find it, you can heal it. You can give your younger self the understanding they never received. You can break the cycle. Irritation, then, becomes a guide, not an enemy. It tells you something here needs your attention. And when you listen, you start to respond with compassion instead of anger, with understanding instead of judgment. And that, my friend, is how healing begins, one trigger at a time. Let me share a personal story. There was a time I couldn't stand people who were always late. It felt disrespectful. It made me feel unimportant. I'd stew in frustration every time someone arrived 10 minutes behind schedule. But one day, a mentor challenged me. She said, "What if it's not about the lateness, but about how it makes you feel?" That question hit hard. I realized that being late triggered my childhood memory of being forgotten at school, of waiting alone, of feeling invisible. That's what I was reacting to, not the person's lateness, but the pain it activated. And once I realized that, something shifted. I still value punctuality, but I no longer take lateness personally. I no longer explode inside, because I understand the wound. This is the gift of introspection. It doesn't remove all discomfort, but it gives you peace in the midst of it. It teaches you grace, and grace allows you to see others through the lens of understanding, not accusation. So ask yourself, what recurring irritation might be connected to an old story? Once you uncover it, you can begin to write a new one. When you see irritation as a mirror, you stop seeing people as problems and start seeing them as opportunities for growth. Imagine if every time someone frustrated you, instead of lashing out or shutting down, you turned inward and asked, "What is this teaching me about me?" Life would feel different, wouldn't it? Suddenly, even the most challenging relationships would have purpose. That critical coworker? Maybe they are teaching you to own your confidence. That unpredictable friend? Perhaps they are teaching you to let go of control. The lesson isn't always obvious, but it's always there. The truth is, we can't control the world, but we can control how we show up in it. And by learning from irritation, we build resilience, patience, and wisdom. We stop giving our power away to every person who crosses our path. Instead, we stand rooted, learning, adapting, and growing. The next time you feel a familiar frustration bubbling up, breathe deeply and whisper to yourself, "This is a teacher, not an enemy." That shift in perspective will not only change your emotional state, but also transform how you relate to the world around you. Let's talk about control. Many irritations arise because we expect people to behave a certain way. We expect gratitude when we help. We expect punctuality. We expect politeness, humility, or effort. And when those expectations aren't met, we burn inside. But here's the hard truth. Life is easier when you release control. People won't always meet your standards. And that's okay. Your peace can't be tied to their behavior. It has to come from within. This doesn't mean tolerating disrespect. It means understanding that your emotional state is your responsibility. When you release control, irritation loses its grip. You no longer demand that the world bend to your comfort. Instead, you adapt, adjust, and remain grounded. You can still set boundaries, but you stop letting every disappointment rattle your spirit. Remember, peace isn't the absence of annoying people. Peace is the ability to remain calm even when they exist. That's emotional strength. That's freedom. And when you master this, your life becomes lighter. Every trigger becomes a teacher, not a thief of your joy. And you start walking through life with a strength that no one can shake. Another reason people irritate us is because they reflect qualities we secretly desire. It sounds strange, but it's true. The confident speaker who shows off? Maybe they reflect the courage you wish you had. The ambitious friend who pushes too hard. Maybe they remind you of dreams you abandoned. Sometimes our irritation isn't anger. It's longing. Longing for a part of us we've silenced. Recognizing this can be a breakthrough. Instead of staying stuck in envy or judgment, ask, what is this person showing me that I wish of myself? If it's confidence, how can you build yours? If it's ambition, how can you revive your goals? When you use irritation as inspiration, you stop resenting others and start learning from them. They stop being competitors and start being reminders of what's possible. Life changes when you see every irritation as a signal, not of what's wrong with others, but of what you might need more of in your own life. Suddenly, instead of anger, you feel gratitude, because each person who frustrates you becomes a guide, helping you rediscover part of yourself you didn't even know were missing. We can't talk about irritation without talking about forgiveness, because the ultimate goal of this journey is freedom. When we don't understand our triggers, we hold grudges, we replay arguments, we let anger simmer for days or even years. But when we see irritation as a teacher, we gain perspective. We realize it's not always about the other person, it's about what they awaken in us. And when we understand that, forgiveness becomes easier. You stop carrying every slight as a wound. You start seeing humanity in others and yourself. Forgiveness doesn't mean excusing bad behavior. It means releasing the hold it has on your heart. Because carrying irritation like a badge of honor only weighs you down. Choosing to forgive, learn, and grow, however, lifts you up. It allows you to move through life with lightness. And that lightness is what true power feels like. Not revenge, not anger, but freedom. So every time someone irritates you, don't just react. Reflect, heal, forgive. That choice will free you in ways you never thought possible. Now, let's bring this home with a practical tool. Here's a simple 3-step method to transform irritation into growth. Step 1. Pause. When you feel annoyed, stop before reacting. Breathe. Give your body a chance to settle. Step 2. Reflect. Ask yourself, what exactly am I feeling? What does this remind me of? What is this revealing about me? Be honest, even if the answer is uncomfortable. Step 3. Respond with intention. Once you understand the root, choose your next move consciously. Maybe it's setting a boundary. Maybe it's practicing patience. Maybe it's having a calm conversation instead of an outburst. This 3-step process turns every irritation into an opportunity. It helps you grow emotionally, strengthen your relationships, and protect your peace. Remember, self-awareness is a skill. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes. And soon, the things that used to shake you will barely touch you. You will move through life with wisdom and calm. And that's the kind of person who not only survives this world but thrives in it, because they've mastered themselves. It's important to remember that irritation is not your enemy, it's your ally. It is a messenger, a signal that something deeper needs attention. Most people either explode when they are irritated or suppress it entirely, but neither brings peace. Exploding damages relationships, while suppressing resentment damages you. The healthy way is to listen to irritation. Ask, what is this really about? Sometimes it's about unmet needs. Sometimes it's about a boundary that hasn't been set. And sometimes it's about a wound from years ago that's asking to be healed. When you treat irritation as information rather than an attack, it stops controlling you. Instead, it empowers you. It becomes a tool you use to understand yourself and the world around you. So the next time you feel your patience thinning, pause and get curious. Because behind every moment of frustration is a chance to grow stronger, wiser, and calmer. Life won't stop throwing irritating people your way, but you can stop giving them the power to dictate your emotions. Growth starts when you decide to see irritation as a teacher and yourself as a student. Let's talk about patterns. If the same type of person keeps irritating you, maybe it's controlling bosses, unreliable friends, or overly competitive colleagues, it's worth asking why. Life often repeats lessons until we learn them. The universe, God, or whatever you believe intend to bring us the same type of person until we recognize the growth opportunity. Perhaps it's teaching you to speak up, to enforce boundaries, or to soften your own judgment. Patterns are not coincidences. They're invitations. Instead of saying, why do I keep attracting these people? Try asking, what am I meant to learn here? The moment you learn the lesson, the pattern often breaks. Because it's not about fixing everyone else. It's about transforming yourself. That transformation might be as simple as saying no when you'd normally stay silent, or as deep as forgiving a part of your past. But once you learn, you'll find that the same situations no longer rattle you. Life feels lighter. Relationships feel healthier. And irritation stops feeling like a curse. It becomes a map pointing you toward the person you're becoming. Irritation can also teach us empathy. Think about it. When someone behaves in a way that annoys you, your first instinct is to judge. But what if, instead, you wondered about their story? The rude cashier might be battling exhaustion after a 12-hour shift. The friend who interrupts might have grown up in a house where no one listened. The boastful coworker might be masking deep insecurity. When you shift from judgment to curiosity, irritation softens. You begin to see people as humans, flawed, complex, and fighting battles you can't see. This doesn't mean excusing bad behavior, but it does mean understanding that most people act out of their own pain or conditioning. And when you see that, your response changes. You're less reactive, more compassionate. Empathy doesn't just help others, it frees you, because carrying irritation everywhere is heavy. Empathy, on the other hand, lightens a load. It allows you to move through life with grace. And grace doesn't just change how others experience you, it changes how you experience yourself. Here's another truth. Sometimes irritation is a signal that you need change. If you constantly feel irritated in a certain environment, a job, a friendship, a relationship, it might be life nudging you toward a shift. Self-reflection is important, but so is discernment. Not every irritation is a lesson about your shadow or past wounds. Sometimes it's a red flag. It's your soul whispering, you've outgrown this. Maybe the workplace is toxic. Maybe the relationship is draining. Maybe the friendship no longer aligns with who you are. In those cases, irritation becomes a compass, pointing you toward a new chapter. The challenge is discerning the difference between triggers that ask for inner growth and situations that require outer change. The key is listening to yourself, to your emotions, to your intuition. If reflection doesn't bring peace but clarity that you need to move on, honor that truth. Growth isn't just about staying calm. It's also about making brave decisions to protect your peace. Now, imagine living a life where irritation doesn't control you but guides you. A life where every frustration becomes either a lesson, a mirror, or a compass. That life is possible, but it starts with awareness. Start by noticing your triggers. Journal them. Reflect on them. Ask yourself, what does this reveal about me? What is this teaching me? Do I need to grow here, or do I need to move on? These questions will turn ordinary irritations into extraordinary breakthroughs. Over time, you'll notice something incredible. The things that once made you angry will barely touch you. You'll carry yourself with calm confidence, responding instead of reacting. You'll build healthier relationships, not because others changed, but because you did. That's the power of this practice. It transforms your inner world, which in turn transforms your outer one. So today, make a choice. Let irritation teach you. Let it shape you into someone wiser, calmer, and stronger than you were yesterday. Because in the end, every irritation is a stepping stone, not to frustration, but to freedom. One of the most powerful things you can do when irritation strikes is to pause and breathe. Most of us react instantly, rolling our eyes, snapping back, or silently stewing. But that moment of pause is where transformation begins. When you pause, you break the automatic cycle of reaction. You give yourself space to choose instead of react. A deep breath activates calm in your nervous system, softening the emotional storm. In that space, you can ask, what's really happening here? What am I feeling? What do I need right now? This shift is small but life-changing, because when you stop reacting impulsively, you start living intentionally. People will still be loud, rude, or thoughtless, but instead of matching their chaos, you remain centered. That calm presence is a superpower. It not only protects your peace, but it often diffuses tension around you. Remember, irritation may come fast, but wisdom comes in the pause. And with practice, that pause becomes natural, turning even the most frustrating moments into opportunities for growth and self-mastery. Another way to master irritation is to reframe your perspective. Ask yourself, what is this moment here to teach me? Reframing turns irritation into curiosity. Instead of thinking, This person is impossible. You might think, maybe they are here to teach me patience. Instead of, why is this always happening to me? Try, what strength can I develop here? Reframing doesn't make the annoyance disappear, but it changes your relationship with it. You stop feeling like life is attacking you and start feeling like life is training you. Every difficult person becomes a workout for your character. Every frustrating moment becomes a test of your self-awareness. And with each test you pass, you grow stronger, calmer, and wiser. Over time, this mindset turns your whole life into a classroom where every irritation has a lesson attached. And those lessons, though uncomfortable, are what make you resilient. They prepare you for bigger challenges with a steadier heart. So instead of asking life to be easier, ask for the strength to handle it better. That shift will turn every irritant into an instrument of your growth. Let's address a common misconception. Mastering irritation doesn't mean becoming passive or tolerating toxic behavior. Some people hear this message and think it means ignoring red flags or staying silent when boundaries are crossed. That's not the goal. The goal is to respond, not react. Responding means you approach the situation with clarity, calm, and courage. You can still set firm boundaries. You can still walk away from disrespect. You can still speak up for yourself. The difference is you're not acting from blind anger. You're acting from self-awareness. That shift changes everything. Because when you react in anger, you often regret your words. But when you respond with intention, your actions carry weight and wisdom. People respect calm strength more than rage. So remember, irritation is not a call to shrink or explode. It's a call to rise. Rise with awareness. Rise with boundaries. Rise with grace. That is how you turn irritation into power, rather than letting it drain you. One of the greatest gifts of this practice is inner peace. When you stop letting every small annoyance disturb you, life feels lighter. You laugh more. You stress less. You spend less time overthinking what people said or did. Why? Because you're no longer chained to every passing emotion. You've learned to observe, reflect, and let go. Inner peace doesn't mean nothing ever bothers you. It means you recover quickly when it does. You choose where to put your energy instead of wasting it on things that don't matter. And as you protect that peace, you'll notice something else. People around you will feel it. Your calm will become contagious. Your presence will feel safe, steady, and grounding. That's the kind of energy that attracts respect, love, and opportunity. And it all starts with this simple truth. Irritation isn't here to break you. It's here to build you, if you let it. Another lesson irritation teaches us is humility. It shows us that we, too, are imperfect. How many times have you irritated someone without even realizing it? We're quick to point out flaws in others, but rarely stop to consider how our actions might annoy them. This perspective shift breeds compassion. The next time someone frustrates you, remember, you've probably been that person for someone else. You've been late. You've spoken out of turn. You've forgotten to express gratitude. Recognizing your own imperfections helps you approach others with more grace. It doesn't mean you excuse bad behavior, but it softens your judgment. You move from how dare they to they're human, like me. And in that shared humanity, irritation loses its sharp edge. You find yourself forgiving faster, holding fewer grudges, and walking through life with a heart that is both firm and kind. Because at the end of the day, we're all learning. We're all growing. And sometimes, the thing we dislike in others is simply a reflection of a lesson we haven't fully mastered ourselves. If you take one thing away from this message, let it be this: irritation is a mirror, not a verdict. It doesn't mean something is wrong with the world or even with you. It simply means there's more to see, more to understand, more to grow into. Each trigger is a doorway. Behind one door might be an old wound that needs healing. Behind another, a value you didn't know you held. Behind another, a boundary you need to set. And behind some, a life change waiting to happen. The key is to open those doors one by one, with curiosity instead of fear. Because behind every door is a piece of your personal evolution. Life will keep sending you mirrors. People will keep showing you your edges. The question is, Will you use those reflections to grow? Or will you keep smashing the mirror only to find another one waiting around the corner? Growth happens when you choose the first path. And when you do, irritation stops feeling like a curse and starts feeling like guidance. Let's imagine your life a year from now if you apply this principle. You no longer explode at the smallest annoyance. You no longer carry anger for days. You understand your triggers, set healthy boundaries, and let go of what doesn't serve you. Your relationships improve because you listen more and judge less. You feel calmer, lighter, and more grounded, even when life gets messy. That version of you isn't distant. It's waiting for you to choose this practice every day. It starts small, pausing before reaction, journaling your triggers, asking the deeper questions. But each small choice builds a habit, and that habit reshapes your emotional world. Soon, you'll notice that the things that once had power over you now feel insignificant. You'll realize that the true victory wasn't in changing others, but in mastering yourself. And that mastery will ripple into every area of your life, your work, your relationships, and even how you see yourself. Here's your challenge. For the next 7 days, every time you feel irritated, don't just react. Write it down. Note who triggered you, what they did, and, most importantly, what you felt. Then ask yourself, what does this reveal about me? Is there a wound here? A value? A boundary? Watch what happens when you do this consistently. You'll begin to notice patterns. You'll start understanding yourself in ways you never did before. And with that understanding comes freedom. Because when you know why you feel what you feel, you're no longer controlled by it. You respond intentionally. You reclaim your peace. This simple exercise can shift your mindset faster than you think. Irritation stops being a source of stress and becomes a source of insight. And with insight comes transformation. As we come to the end of this journey, remember this: the world will always have loud, rude, and selfish people. Life will never be free of frustrations. But your peace, your growth, and your power don't depend on the world changing. They depend on you changing how you see it. Carl Jung's words are more than a quote. They're a blueprint for transformation. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. If you let those words sink in, they can change the way you live, love, and lead. The people who once felt like obstacles will start to feel like mirrors. The moments that once stole your peace will start to shape your strength. And you'll discover that the most irritating moments are often the ones that help you grow the most. So, the next time irritation comes, don't curse it. Welcome it. Pause. Reflect. Ask what it's teaching you. Then use that lesson to grow. Because every irritation is either a mirror or a compass, pointing you toward the person you're meant to become. Growth doesn't happen in comfort. It happens in friction, in reflection, and in the courage to look inward. You don't need to eliminate difficult people from your life to find peace. You just need to learn from them. And when you do, something incredible happens. You rise above the noise. You stop being tossed around by every annoyance. You stand steady, calm, and grounded, no matter what life throws your way. That's a gift hidden in every irritation. Not frustration, but transformation. Not chaos, but clarity. And not weakness, but wisdom. Let this truth guide you, and watch your life change in ways you never imagined. If this spoke to something deep inside you, don't stop now. Your heart is asking for more. Tap the next video and let me walk with you through another powerful lesson, one that could heal wounds you didn't even know you were carrying. Don't let this be where your growth ends. Let it be where it begins. Like, subscribe, and share this video with those who you know will need it. I will see you in our next video.